Kenillusion.
Evolution, but Kenny.
Nice. How would you describe this deck?
A 5-color evolution. Like, one of my favorite ways to describe it is like a turbo dockside deck with a mid-range engine in the command zone. It's the meme way to describe it that I usually use. It's under the mid-range section on the database, which I don't know if I agree. Like, it can be, but it isn't really.
Where would you place it in that case?
Like, that's the problem, because it's both mid-range and kind of turbo.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I like it's adaptive. Like, it's the definition of adaptive, basically.
So you can be fast if your hand allow it, but you can be slow, and you can play well in a slow situation if your hand allows it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, turn 2 wins isn't unusual, or as unusual you would expect from a mid-range deck. And that's not just because of Thassa's Oracle, basically. Like, of course you can consult turn 2, but yeah, that's not the main reason.
So how does your games with this usually look like, or is that just so hard to explain because every game is gonna be different because you're different options here?
The games can be pretty different.
Uh-huh.
But like, usually you play mana into card advantage into heavy value engines, such yeah. So like Dork Intristic is a classic play in this deck.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also be more heavy, and you can go for early dock sides. Like, it really plays differently in different pods.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, adaptive.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you can get a big dock side like turn 2, the whole deck just opens up, basically. But then you have the pods where people play turn 1 Dork and pass, and then it's way more grindy.
But this deck is kind of good at fighting in grindy as well, I guess, or
yeah,
could be changed. I mean, Kenrith is an expensive commander.
Yeah. Like, the games where the game goes well, you usually don't play Kenrith.
Yeah.
Like, until you win, of course. Like, when you win, you play him, but...
So you basically have a really decent fast combo deck from 5 colors in general, and you just grab the generic 5-colored commander that can be decent overall.
Yeah, basically, like, all of your win cons are, or that's not completely true, but your win cons are almost completely commander agnostic. Like, you have the breach lines, you have the consult, and then the dock side, the lines are commander agnostic until you actually need to win, because you need to play your commander to win with it, with infinite mana.
Oh, yeah.
But all of the deck can't function without your commander. The only card that needs your commander is Deflecting Swats, or it gets Trading Grounds as well.
And Fierce Guardianship?
No, I don't run that.
Oh, interesting. Is that just because your commander it's not something you don't really cast?
Yeah, exactly. Like, Deflecting Swat is way too good to not play.
Yeah.
Because people like Gilded Draking my Kenrith. Deflecting Swat is really nice. But like, Fierce Guardianship isn't that good when it's not free.
True.
And when it is free, it's usually not really needed, because you have already established your game so much.
Yeah.
Because you have casted a 5-mana commander, you probably have mana.
But having one card that is commander dependent isn't that big of a deal. Like, casting Kenrith just to get access to your Deflecting Swat, that's fine.
Yeah, but the thing Kenrith also does is, like, he enables a lot of, like, different combos. Like, together with Kenrith, you have a card like Survival of the Fittest, becomes the 1-card combo.
That is true. You also play Entomb.
Yeah, exactly. And Entomb is just good with Breach, and then also when you have Kenrith, you can instant speed reanimate stuff.
Yeah. Would you like to explain the combo line you go for with the Survival of the Fittest?
So you have a creature in hand, Survival in play, and Kenrith in play. You activate Survival, discarding the creature, finding Dockside. Activate it again, reanimating, putting Dockside in the bin, finding Mayhem Devil, or Emil, or Deadeye, like whichever one you want. And then you reanimate Dockside, make treasures, discard the outlet, reanimate the outlet, and win. Like, it's really mana heavy, but it's a 1-card win con.
We have a great comment from the chat. This deck is even more beginner friendly at $10,000 USD.
Yeah, but all decks are free when you proxy.
That is true. Demonic Tutor, Bollock Intent, Elish Evolution, Final Gamble, Imperial Seal, Neoform, Surveillance, Wheel of Fortune, and Windfall. How many different combos do you have in here? I think you have a lot of overlaying combos, like Deadeye Navigator is doing the same thing as Emil.
Yeah, like, the whole concept of an evolution is high individual card value, as well as much, like, overlap as possible between different combos. And this list is a bit weird right now, like, differently than how it was during the tournament. Because during the tournament I played the Notion Thief as well, and Smothering Tide. So currently the wheels might be a bit weaker than they were in the tournaments.
We have a question from the chat about why Mayhem Devil. Would you like to explain the combo that Mayhem Devil does here?
Yeah, Mayhem Devil is really sweet. So firstly, Mayhem Devil it combos really well with Dockside and Kenrith because you just sacrifice 2 treasures, kill Dockside, reanimate it, and you kill the board basically if you have enough treasures.
You need 5, right? Treasures?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, so
5 or 3 with the training grounds.
Oh yeah.
On top of that, it's actually a pretty good stacks piece or like hate piece.
Yeah.
Because like all the fetch lands, all the sacrifice tutors, all the other docksides, you just ping off everything you don't care about. And I actually won game 1 off the back of the Mayhem Devil, where I stole there was 2 oofs in play. I gilded draked one of them, sacrificed it to Neoform.
The green oof that is a null rod, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So I had a dockside in hand and could win with it. But there was 2 oofs in play. So I stole one with Gilded Drake, sacked it to Neoform, then cracked the fetch to kill the other one, and then went off.
Nice.
So like there are a lot of like different play patterns you can do with Mayhem Devil.
Yeah, the fact that you can actually deal with some pesky creatures is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, people could help you too. If someone has an opposition agent or a hull breacher in play, your other opponents could just sack their fetch land to help you kill the hull breacher.
Yeah, exactly. Like I also killed the 1 mana discard outlet in Gitrog with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So like it does quite a lot of work, but it's also like really like conditional. Like it can be a do nothing card, but when it's good, it's really good.
I think it's always going to do a tiny something, just to the high density of fetch lands in general.
Yeah.
Like kill a mana dork at the very least.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you like to explain why you're playing Deadeye Navigator, a 6 mana cost, a really expensive card?
There's several reasons. The most simple one is because Kenrith can be neoformed into it.
Mm-hmm.
So Neoform, that makes Neoform a better card, even better than it already is. But also, it's less mana to actually go off with Dockside. You just need 3 treasures instead of 4 or 5. And on top of that, it can also combo with Eternal Witness and LED.
Oh yeah.
As well as a Phantasmal Image, if an opponent has a Dockside.
Wait, can you actually...
Yeah, it's not the targets. They become paired as it enters. It doesn't target.
That is true. And both creatures gains this ability, so you can flicker Phantasmal. Interesting.
So it actually has a lot of play.
I really like the Eternal Witness Lion's Eye Diamond trick.
So it's just like to maximize the card value or the value of each card.
I like when decks are trying to synergize as much as they can within its own field, making several cards basically function together. That just increases the combo density without hurting the deck.
You can always pivot. Like almost whatever happens, you can pivot to another line.
Yeah, exactly. If you have a Dockside in play and someone kills your Deadeye, you can still find your Emil later.
Yeah, or just play Kenrith and reanimate it.
Oh yeah, there's that. How do you think about Kenrith in general? What is your... I think Kenrith is one of the stronger late games commanders.
Yeah, I tend to agree. The biggest problem with Kenrith is Gilded Drake, because people like him. Which I understand. Like he's really good, and he enables I think he's really interesting. Like how much you can do with him. Like for example, in this deck you can go infinite with just Kenrith and Phantasmal Image if there's Dockside in play.
Would you like to explain how that works?
Sure. You play the Phantasmal Image. It enters as a Dockside. It needs to make its 8 treasures. So you put a counter on it, trigger, it will die, and then just reanimate it and repeat. And that's something that Training Grounds helps with a lot as well.
Now, some people might say that maybe you should play Biomancer's Familiar and even Surda in this deck, but I'm guessing because you're not as heavy into Kenrith, you're not doing that?
Yeah, like Kenrith, as I said, I rarely even play Kenrith. Kenrith is really good when it's really good, but it's not always good. And I actually am not even... Training Grounds is a weird case, because Training Grounds is really good sometimes. But it's not like in Thrasios, where you always have it. Sometimes it just sits there and feeds Dockside. That's
bad.
Yeah, but it also makes Emil and Deadeye cheaper. It does make those cards better, but it's not guaranteed to make them good. It's not guaranteed to be a thing. So I actually don't think doubling down on that effect is that strong, because I'm not 100% sold on Training Grounds.
Is that actually a card you might cut for the deck?
I have cut it, then it came back.
Okay, I understand.
Just because the ceiling on it is so high.
I think you should keep it. The thing is that the games you win is usually when you get that perfect setup. And
Yeah.
I think Training Grounds is just helping you reach that dominating god state where you become the arch enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
Playing on the, like, it sounds like gambling, but I think that's sometimes what you need to do.
Yeah, and that's basically the exact concept you're describing is why I'm running Mask of the Mimic.
Would you like to explain Mask of the Mimic? Why are you playing this meme card?
Like, one of the things about tournaments is that they're very random, and sometimes you just need to high roll. And Mask of the Mimic is like a perfect high roll card. Like,
Yeah.
just winning on top of someone else off a Mask of the Mimic is such a high roll play that I just wanted to have access to it. So, like, the thing you can do is, like, just having a Dockside or a Tassasaurus in play makes this card amazing. Like, someone's trying to win with Consult, and then you just Mask of the Mimic, sacrifice a Dork, and then Consult yourself. Like, those plays are amazing.
Yes.
But it's also quite a bad card when it doesn't do that.
However, looking at your deck, let's actually take a look here. So
Yeah.
you could use it to get a Dark Confidant. That's a weird Neoform into Dark Confidant.
Yeah.
Dockside we already talked about. Emil we already talked about. Ghostly Pilfer, people are probably playing that. Gilded Drake, Hull Breacher. You might have an opponent. This one is a little bit maybe. You're always...
And in the tournament deck, I also ran Notion Thief, which is really good if someone tries Notion Thief wheel.
Would it be worth increasing the amount of creatures that are commonly played among the great majority, just to make Mask of the Mimic more viable?
I don't think Mask of the Mimic is viable enough to make changes to include it.
All right.
Basically, I actually wouldn't recommend playing with it. It's really fun, but when you get into like tournaments and stuff, when you need to win a couple of games really well, then it might be the right choice. Like just the high roll aspect is something that I valued in going into the tournaments.
I think that's the same answer as Training Grounds, basically. Just the high roll.
Yeah, kind of. But Training Grounds has a better floor than Mask of the Mimic. Like the floor of Mask of the Mimic is do nothing, sit in your hand, or pitch to force, I guess. But the floor on Training Grounds is still okay.
Iron Blood, yes, Mask of the Mimic is a meme, but don't let your memes be dreams.
Like it won't actually increase your average win rate that much, if at all.
If at all.
Yeah.
I like that reply. Let's see here. You are not on Lord Drakis, and I know that that's a combo you like. You're not playing that many. You're playing Chain of Vapor. You don't play Snap. Is that a combo you would consider having for this deck? Or is it like...
Yeah, not really. Like, I already have such a high combo density that I don't really need another combo. And also, like, the reason Lord Drakis is so good in Blacklist is because you don't have Assassin's Trophy and Abrupt Decay, I would say. So, like, the bounce spells are something you need to play anyways. While when you're 5-colored, you can just play those cards, and then you need to add Snap and those cards on top of them, which is worse.
That is true. That is true. They are better. However, you lose the cool ritual stuff you do with Dockside when you're bouncing your Dockside and recasting it a bunch.
Yeah, that's true. But usually one Dockside is enough.
Yeah. That is also true. And then you have Breach, Lion's Eye, and Brain Freeze. You don't play Ariok Salvager, and I guess you don't need both. And I guess you prefer Brain Freeze over Ariok Salvager.
Yeah, like as I said, Brain Freeze is easier to assemble and actually win with. The thing though was I was playing Ariok Salvagers in the tournaments, but I've cut it since. And that was kind of just because I've been in way too many places where I needed to blind consult, and that sometimes it takes away too many combos. Like you lose half of the 2-card combos and suddenly you can't win anymore. So I added the Ariok just to help that.
Yeah, Ariok doesn't do that much outside Lion's Eye Diamond here. Lotus Petal.
Yeah, it does. Like Lotus Petal, Training Grounds, and Mayhem Devil is a win con in that I have used.
I mean, it might happen.
Yeah, exactly.
4-card combo, but all the cards are already decent.
Yeah, like that's the kind of the thing with this deck. Like you sometimes just find another combo that you never thought of.
There's a new combo that's arrived, and I see 2 cards that have been added to this list: Opposition Agent and Hull Breacher. And would you like to explain a little bit about Underworld Breach and Hull Breacher?
Yeah, so Hull Breacher adds a new outlet for going off with Breach, because if you have a wheel in your graveyard, play Breach, and then get Hull Breacher into play, you can just play the wheel, and you draw 7, which nets you 4 cards in graveyard, basically, not really. And you also get 21 treasures, so you can just like grow your graveyard that way instead of going for Brain Freeze.
What do you think about Arcane Signet and Fellow's Stone? Do you think you need them, or would you rather play? Because I think you're missing a few dorks.
Yeah, like this is kind of the concept of like trying to spread out your mana, so you just fall over to a single hate piece, because that's something this deck does pretty well. It's like if one hate piece stops one part of your deck, you can just go for the other part of your deck if you don't draw badly, of course. But like going all in on creatures makes you weaker to Curse Totem, while now you can still play around the Curse Totem, and the Null Rod.
I see.
So I actually think having them spread out is the right call. But going heavier on dorks is a good argument just because of Neoform.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you thought about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the 1 CMC ramp spells more than the 2 CMC. But as you said, they are definitely value in being a little bit more resilient to...
It's also the fact that the 1 mana dorks I'm not running isn't fixing. There's Avacyn's Pilgrim, and that's the only one left that actually fixes my mana, while the 2 mana rocks actually do fix my mana.
You're not an Arbor?
I'm not an Arbor Elf, no. Arbor Elf, it's so good and yet so mediocre.
You don't play Wild Growth or Utopia Sprawl, so you can't exploit Arbor Elf.
Yeah, and that's also the part where it's not actually fixing. Like, it basically is fixing late game, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could get double Breeding Pool blue from it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. Like, it can be, but...
I would probably add Avacyn's Pilgrim to this deck above Arbor Elf, personally.
Maybe, but you don't run that many white cards.
No, but you kenrith.
Yeah, but you don't cast kenrith.
Sometimes you.
Yeah, sometimes, sure, but, like...
Let's see, your percentage... Yeah, white is really low. There's a question from the chat about Dark Ritual.
Dark Ritual is a card that I've considered, especially after Opposition Agent, because Dark Ritual Opposition Agent is not okay.
There's a lot of dreams here. The Mask of the Mimic dream, the Dark Ritual Opposition Agent dream, the Training Ground dream. Yeah?
Yeah, but you can't dream that big. It's basically like the idea of individual card value. Like, sure, it can be good sometimes, but it's not actually that good most of the time. But I've actually played around with the idea of adding Dark Rit and Adnos to the deck.
I was just going to actually ask that question. I mean, your seems is pretty low. You have some really expensive cards like Deadeye Navigator. Yeah. How much would it take to swap that, to transform this into an Adnos deck, do you think?
Like, I think you can already fit a, like, there's the concept of man, like mid-range ad nauseum something. But still, like, just value NOS, basically. You don't go all that deep on the NOS and use NOS for value. And that's something you could do in this deck. It's just, like, you don't really need it.
You can farm with Kenrith, because Kenrith can gain life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the thing that makes ad nauseum bearable in this deck. Like, it could be good, but it isn't really needed. It is the, like, TLDR. And something that's worth thinking of when you're building ad nauseum decks, like, even though the average CMC is pretty low, just the fact that I have that so many, like, 3+ cost cards, it gives ad nauseum pretty high chance of fizzling still.
Yeah, I mean, you have to stop at 7 life just because of the existence of the Deadeye Navigator.
So just think of a scenario where it hits Deadeye Navigator and Force of Will. That Adnos is pretty weak.
I have some questions. I have 2 cards, Wishclaw Talisman.
Yeah, Wishclaw Talisman is pretty sweet. It's something that could go into his deck.
The other card is Grand Abolisher.
I refer to my latest comments. Yeah. No, it's really good. It's mostly I don't actually know what to cut for it. It's the, like, easiest answer. It's also a lazy answer, but that's me.
Mask of the Mimic?
Yeah, like that's the actual answer probably. But yeah, like this deck isn't like optimal right now. It's a in between like the optimal posts legends and what I played during the tournament as it looks right now.
I mean, all the cards here are good. Let's just kind of begin with that. But I also agreed. I think this deck should have a Grand Abolisher.
I was on Vexing before actually instead of Abolisher.
That's interesting.
Just because like Vexing warps the whole table so much.
But something I think about Vexing, it's personally, I think it's like slower.
Yeah, it is.
So
It is.
yeah, you're going for like more. You don't want your opponents to win. Grind.
One of the big reasons I think you should have Grand Abolish in this deck is just it's so sweet with kenrith reanimating it.
Yeah, it really is.
It's similar to how CC just activates and finds Teferi and say
Yeah.
over. There's a question from the chat. What do you think about Jeweled Lotus for this deck?
It basically gets back to the problem that you don't really cast Kenrith. So I don't actually think you want it. Like, it's something you could play, but like slamming an early Kenrith doesn't really, like, it could help you. I don't think that's what you're after most of the time.
It would make him into a Thrasius, kinda.
A Thrasius that you had to discard a card to play.
That's true. Card advantage is important. Do you think this is a good deck for beginners? I mean, it costs a lot of money. Someone pointed that out from the chat, so let's ignore that. So it's not a good deck for beginners.
But like every good cEDH deck will cost a lot of money. Like even the
That
more
depends.
budget decks are like $5,000, I would say.
Yeah, but I think you can find a few that's down to $4,000.
Yeah, sure, but are those actually cEDH decks?
I think they are. I
Mostly,
think there are Kess decks that are quite low.
But this deck, as a beginning deck, I don't think, like, it's kind of the same thing as Playam's deck, where there's so many lines you need to have in mind that it's kind of hard recommending it to someone who doesn't have a good grasp on the possibilities of cEDH.
What do you need to be good at for playing this deck? I have a feeling it's the same answer as what Playam said.
Specifically to play this deck, I would say like reading the board, like knowing what to expect from players, like when you can go for which type of combo and how you actually go there. Like, and also knowing how to mulligan, like do mulligans for a grindy hand or an explosive hand, and those are the biggest factors, I think.
Pontus, thank you so much for sharing your deck with us. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and you wanna support me, feel free to share my videos or even checking out my Patreon page. Also, purchasing cards from the TCG Players website using the affiliate link in the description below of the video will also help the channel grow. So a big thank you to all of you.